Good afternoon, Dadas, wherever you are in Kenya. We come to you from KBC Channel 1 Studios to bring you our Women's Reality Talk Format show. We love you and we go out of our way to bring you any subject that touches on any issue about women. Today we want to talk about cross-cultural marriages. Why? Because they're important. Many of us end up getting married to people from different ethnic groups, from different cultures, and we need to know how to cope. And to unpack this for us is Paps. Welcome, Paps.
Yeah.
And Nadia.
Yes.
Karibu sana dadas. Don't be uncomfortable. I know it's a women's talk show.
Mono Anita dadas.
I know you are very male.
Manzi, I'm very male and this
I know you're very male and you're in a women's talk show. Relax.
Like, what's happening?
Chill, just
Am
relax.
I in the wrong place?
Nadia, just chill. Now, the two of you are a couple. How long have you been a couple?
Forever. Can you estimate the time?
Okay.
Nadia, give me the facts. He's trying to gloss over.
Okay,
How long have you been a couple?
Okay, been a couple around maybe 7 or 8 years.
8 years. So let's give it 8 years. I think, or you say 7. Women always add another year, you know, because of the pain. The pain of being married looks like 10 years, yeah?
No, I can elaborate on that because we both have different ideas on when we actually started dating.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
When do you think you started dating?
From the time that I confessed that I can't just be friends.
Oh, really? You are the one who had the audacity to tell him you can't be friends.
Yeah, I told him it's just like I can't do it. It's just not gonna work for me.
Okay, let's begin the story from the beginning. Paps, when did you first meet Nadia?
Sasa, let's start it this way. Pauline, let's start it this way. Unataka kuniingiza kwa maji moto because she has already told you. And then she started the relationship before me. So I played along. Skiza,
wait
I played along. Skiza, I played along. Sasa, I played along. Sasa, you want me to reveal I was not in the relationship then. Unataka kuniingiza kwa moto national television.
Okay, when did you first see her? This is an interesting question. When did you first see her? Where did you see her?
We've been friends for a very long time. You understand?
From where? From home? From work? From where?
Yes, home.
Kutembea
Yes,
tu.
maneno, you see a girl, it's normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
the hair is nice.
Ulimkatiaje?
Hatukukatiana.
He's not very good at elaborating about this stuff.
You are the factual person. So when did you first meet?
Okay, we had a mutual friend. I'm using had because he passed away. Yeah, we were meeting up at I don't know whether it was your event or his event. I just know that he was playing the guitar. Yeah. Yeah, and then I was at the event, he was at the event, and we just started talking and we exchanged numbers. And we were just talking and we were friends, and then I told him I can't just be friends with you, and yeah, one day just out of the blue I kissed him. He didn't make a fuss. I was like, okay, I think this is happening.
You are very forward. You are the one who kissed him first. No wonder the guy is just playing along. Even today he's just seated here. Okay, moving along. So you're the one who first kissed him. Okay, let me ask you, Paps, did it ever bother you? Did you ever worry that Nadia was not a mulunje like you?
Worry why? Do you know what it means for me nikienda Western? Me going to Western with this. Well, you don't worry, you be happy. It's just something else. Eh?
So for you, it was an amazing thing.
It's an amazing thing. Apart from that, unajua kuna vile mnaweza anza when you're dating. You start, maybe you don't know the person really well. Maybe you started dating because of something else. Before now you get into the real thing, you understand? But with time, this is why most people are given time. With time you get to understand this person. Unapata, this guy, kumbe mtu ako humble, okay? Kumbe mtu anakaa hivi, okay? She can be a wife, okay? Okay. Relationship yake na watu ni poa, okay? So I'm the one who's being okay. So I need to change. I need to see where this is going, you understand?
Okay, so perhaps, sema ukweli, ulikuwa unamchorea.
Let me be honest, mimi nilikuwa nafikiria hivi. Nilikuwa najua hii relationship haita last sana because sasa she's from a different race, I'm from a different culture, you understand? And the people say, huyo ni Muhindi, wezani unajua watakubali nini and all that. So I was like, let me hold on to this relationship while it lasts. You understand?
Ulikuwa unashikilia tu matatu.
Hivi yani umesimama hapo ile ashara ulikuwa nayo umelipa mpaka ufike place unaenda, unajua? But at the end of the day, when you stay with someone, you get to understand them, you get to start learning them. You understand? So whatever perception you had about them, whatever you were thinking about them, starts to change.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So I believe I grew.
You grew into the relationship.
Yeah, I grew into the relationship.
Okay.
And now I'm very attached. Hivi msumari nipigwe ikaingia saa, there's no going back. Yeye akitaka go back saa itakuwa noma.
Okay.
Na kutafuta shoka.
Okay. What did your friends think when you started dating Nadia?
Most of the people I know are in different cultural relationships. So for the most part, for me it was quite normal. For family, it was a different thing.
Yes, now I was coming to family. When you first brought him to your mom, what did she say?
Okay. By the time I had the courage to tell my family about it, my mom had already passed on. But the rest of my family thought I was joking. They didn't think that I was being serious. They tried to, like, take your time. They were just like, atachoka.
Okay.
She'll get tired of it.
Okay.
And then she'll settle down and everything. But eventually, they saw that we are both serious, that he's not messing around with me, I'm not messing around. So they came around. And yeah, I can say that now everyone is like really, really accepting. I can say honestly that I had no problems on the side of his family, like none at all.
Of course.
Very accepting.
You had what you said. You rock up in Western Province with a Muhindi girl, everybody's like, salute. Salute.
For me now, it's normal. And I appreciate it.
Okay.
Understand? Because right now is more than just the hair and how she looks. Yeah, the part that I love, the thing that I love about Nadia most is how she takes care of our kids.
Okay.
Understand?
So how many
Being a mother is not easy.
Yeah.
And being able to take in and put a smile on your face is not easy, you understand? So it takes a while. As you people were saying before we entered the show, being a parent does not come with a manual, you understand? So if you can be able to figure out things on that level first before you go to the next level. These other things can be there. You can be in love, you can kiss 24 times or 100 times a day. People can say how good you people look. But in the house, what really keeps you people glued together? That's my side.
Okay.
So I don't know.
What happens at the dinner table? Who
I will make you laugh.
Who is eating what?
I will make you laugh. I actually enjoy eating ugali like a lot. He taught me how to make it.
Oh.
He also taught me how to cook omena, but I'm not better than him at it.
Okay, making omena. So you eat omena, ugali.
Quite
so
a lot,
the one
actually.
Who's influencing the dietary decisions.
So
Yeah?
you'd be surprised. He's actually very, like, when we met, he was not very willing to try new things, but now I can say that even when when I do the chicken with the coconut or with the yogurt, he's very okay with that.
Okay.
Like getting him into the idea of spicy food not being bad. It's just an additive. Yeah, that you have blossomed well.
Okay. So the two of what I'm trying to ask is, have you created your own culture? Because you came with your own world and he came from another world. How do the two worlds meet? How do they gel? How do they make sense to each other? I don't know. I don't know if you understand my question.
You can't define feeling. You can't define emotion. You can't define how people feel. You can only see and appreciate that. So whatever we have just came together and it's that. You can't put a name to it. If you start putting tags to it, it becomes something else.
But is there friction?
Friction.
Tell me the truth. Tell us the truth.
Vita
I'm
ni
sure there
sawa.
are some
Vita
small things
ziko.
that irritate you
Vita ni
about the
sawa.
fact that perhaps he's a Luya man. What are they?
Well, okay, I noticed this, like in the beginning, like PDAs were not really his thing, but slowly softening towards it. For me, like, I am okay with PDAs. It's just part of who I am.
Okay, for our viewers, what's a PDA?
Oh, public displays of affection.
Or public displays of affection.
Yeah, you see,
Okay.
like for example, like I've noticed it's just recently that people are okay with holding hands in public or kissing somebody on the cheek in public. I think it's still illegal in town to kiss somebody. I think. I don't know if it still is, but yeah, it's like I am totally okay with it. It took him a while to get a bit comfortable with
Okay.
that.
So that whole thing of not ever showing any affection towards you in public, that was a bit off-putting for you, yeah?
Not really off-putting. I just found it very odd. Like, why does this terrify you so
Okay.
much?
Okay.
But yeah, I came to find out that it's just the way different people are raised. Like, it's not that you do not love the person, but for him, it's more like, I will not tell you, but I will show you.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say that I've come to realize that that means a lot more, because
Okay.
words are just words. So many people can tell you that I love you, but not many people actually mean that.
Okay.
And I see it in the small things that he does as well as the big ones.
Okay. So he's a more action-oriented man.
Yeah.
Not for kissing in public, but for bringing unga home.
Thank you.
How about that?
He will bring the unga and I will kiss him for a job well done.
Okay, sawa. What about you? What are some of the things that you think, udem ni muhindi?
Dem ni muhindi, hata kiongea uoni. Ni muhindi. Sasa zingine naweza mwambia, hebu simamisha tu nini hivi. Like we just have
Since when?
huh?
Since when?
In my head I tell you that a lot. Every single day. This. I don't know what can she tell us, but because I think I need help in this. Why this? Why?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, why this?
It's just a
We can be having a very romantic conversation, but kuna kitu atasema afanye hivi and turn off like
Yeah, stop being a muhindi.
yeah, like
Okay.
we are normal people. We already know that you're Indian. We're not supposed to act it.
Okay.
Niko nafikiria Indian movies pekee, and then she's what really pisses me off most of the time, but again I'm used to it. She's a very emotional person.
It's an Indian thing.
She's a very emotional person. Kama like Juzi, I think 2 days ago, we were in the house and then we have puppies, and then a small puppy passed away. I'm like, for me, it's a puppy. You understand? It's a puppy. It's
when
small.
Muluya.
Yes, we have big dogs. We
Yeah.
are connected to the big dogs because we've lived with them. You understand? For years. You understand? But this is a puppy. You understand? This is even 1 week. It's not even 1 week old. Yeah. I think it was 1.5 weeks old. Let me be fair. Again, she's like, okay, it's just passed
The
away.
puppy
I
is
can't throw
dead.
it. I'm like, unataka kuifreeze uiweke kwa hii nyumba. This is a
Tuweke-
puppy. It is
tuweke
dying.
puppy.
What is happening? And it brings a lot of emotions. You understand?
Yeah.
Because now it interferes with my schedule. It's in the morning. Someone is emotional. I'm supposed to go to work. I'm supposed to eat. She can't wake up. Why? A puppy has died. Who does that?
I know. It's very Indian. This is an Indian thing
It's
only.
really bad.
It's an Indian thing
You can
only.
come and find her crying. What's happening? I just watched something on my phone that's really touching. So the whole day you're going to act up because you watched something that's really touching. Okay, so I'll leave. Because I cannot handle this anymore. So most of the time, what I do, if I see it's too much, I wear my shoes and I leave.
Okay.
And again, she doesn't want me to leave.
That is even more emotional.
It's worse because now I'm getting pissed because I don't understand the reason why she's getting emotional, and she's holding me, wanting me to hug her for something I don't understand.
Okay.
You get? So most of the time, I'm like, I will
This
push
is
you.
this
please.
is a lot of problems.
I will push you. I have a lot of problems. Unga imeisha.
Yeah.
You here hugging me because of something that does not make sense. Can I go out and look
Yeah.
for unga? You get?
It's a different worldview where she comes from, where the Indian man could have dealt with it very differently.
Yeah.
No? Yeah, they could have hugged all day. But now, you are a Luya man.
In general, I just happen to be a very emotional person, and for me, pets are like family. They're like an extension, and that specific puppy had been sick, and I was carrying him around everywhere, like feeding him with a syringe. He poops, I clean it up, and cuddles, Nini. Like, it literally used to cry, and it would sound like mom. And I would be torn, like, now I can't put you down, and I'm carrying the baby. And so when he passed away, for me, it felt very, like, it felt very emotional.
I completely hear you, Paps. You see, a Luya lady cannot do such things. Haijawahi onekana kwa dunia. Muluya na umbwa na syringe na nini itakuwa ngumu. It's
Imagine
not
mtu kwa
possible.
nyumba yako mmekaa. You have serious problems. Huh?
Serious problems.
In the house,
In the
serious
house.
problems.
Eh,
You are hungry.
Yes.
And someone is walking around with a dog and
And
a
a
syringe
syringe.
because the dog needs to eat fast before you eat.
It's
you,
not right.
You know, it needs a very understanding man.
it's not right.
Me,
This
I've been
is-
out the whole day, I've not eaten. Someone is holding a syringe with a dog. This dog has to feed fast because it's sick. You and your tiredness and your work, you have to wait because this dog is sick.
Okay, let me ask you another question. What about your children? You have two really pretty children.
Thank you.
Do you worry about them? Like, they're from different worlds. And I know it's not a worry thing, but how do you decide what you're going to pass on to them? Are they Luyas? Are they Indians? What are they?
Take, for example, biryani. You've got so many different spices, so many different flavors in there, but you've got a really nice dish. For me, where I grew up, I'm already multicultural, so I have a little bit of, I feel that I've got a little bit of all the good stuff.
Okay.
So right now, I feel like whatever I might have been lacking on my side, my daughters will get from him.
Okay.
Like, you see how he's really practical. For me, I tend to think more with my heart than with my head, which can be a problem at times. So from him, they learn how to be practical. And for me, they learn that as much as being practical is important, you need to be empathetic and sympathetic towards people and other creatures around you.
Okay.
So you can
Nani,
imagine that
fanya hivi.
conclusion of this daughter.
You
This
have-
daughter is
you have-
emotional and practical at the same
Exactly.
time and
but
everything.
I'm worried for you. Is this a Luya child?
This one.
Yeah. Are the
Ah.
children Luyas? Are they going to be taught Luya culture?
My small daughter, my 1-year-old daughter, if she sees ugali, she will leave everything.
She responds like a Luya.
Yes, she can even cry and fight and fall down 10 times because she's seen what?
Ugali.
But put any other dish, she just look at you.
Okay.
I wish we had ugali so that we can do that practically here. And then you see how Luya this small child is.
So I wanted to ask you about the question of religion, which is a big question. Faith is a big question. So I know that you are Muslim. Perhaps I'm not sure what you are. I know you began as a Christian. What happened?
What do you mean you're not sure?
I'm not sure. I know you look like you are a Muslim now. Is it true? You know, you don't have the heart.
I'm Muslim.
You converted.
Yes. Where does it state that a Muslim has to have a heart?
Okay, no, wait. Stop being hostile.
I'm just
it's just a
asking.
thought, you know. Why did you convert?
Yes.
Why did you convert?
Because I learned the religion first before I decided to be
Okay.
that person who's converting.
So it was a personal choice.
Yeah, it was a really big, huge personal choice
Okay.
because the way I was raised as a Christian and the way we behaved and the way I was learning about being a Muslim and the way they behave and the way they take their religion, they take it very, very seriously.
Okay, I'm not going to get into that debate
Yes,
about religion
please.
because we are on national TV and I don't want the Christians to kill me. But
They won't.
I think the good thing here is now you are on the same. But there was a time when you were a Christian and you were Muslim. How did that work out, Nadia?
Well, for me, I did not really mind. Growing up, for most of my younger life, my mom was Catholic, so I truly believe that as long as you've got a good person, that's really what matters the most. You've got plenty of religious people, but you probably don't gel very well, and you end up maybe splitting up a few years later or a few years on. And yeah, I met him. He was a good person, and I was like, I'm happy. I'm good.
Okay. Pops, are you happy? Are you good?
Manse, if you see me, you just know I'm happy and I'm good. You don't have to get all this. Manse. Do you see how my life is awesome?
Okay, thank you very much, Pops, for coming. We really, really thank you for coming. Thank
Yeah.
you, Nadia,
Yeah.
for accepting to be married to this man. Thank you for asking him out and for kissing him. He would not be here. Dadas will be right back with Jackie Masharia, who is a counseling psychologist. She'll be telling us what it means to actually take the leap of faith and get married to somebody who's not like you. I mean, it's bad enough to be married to somebody who from your own ethnic group, somebody who you grew up with. But what about somebody who comes from a space that is very different from yours? So we'll be right back. Grab a hot cup of tea, a juice. We're coming back to you. Welcome back, Dadas. Today we've been talking about cross-cultural marriages. When you marry somebody who's from a different tribe, from a different race, what should you prepare for? What does that come with? What are the challenges that come with that? And even the joys. Joining me is counseling psychologist Jackie Masharia. Jackie, karibu sana.
Thank you, Pauline.
You were offset listening to our wonderful couple,
Yes,
Paps
I
and
listened.
Nadia.
Yes, I did.
And they're young and happy.
Yes.
And they didn't seem to be very well prepared for the whole marriage thing. Listening to them, they seem to slide into it.
Yes.
Isn't that how many of these things begin?
Oh, yes, most definitely. We need to understand that we are now not living in the 70s. In the 70s, marrying cross-culturally or marrying someone from a different race was frowned upon. But when we look at life today, we see that there's the aspect of globalization, industrialization, technology, education. All these things are bringing people of different ethnic groups together, people from different races. And these people are finding love. They are finding romantic love. And so the times that we would frown on, right now these young people are not frowning on those things. For them, the basic thing, the foundation is, we love one another, let's get married. And so they do come together without really considering the effects. What are the challenges? What do they need to do? Do they need to talk to their parents? Do they need to go for premarital counseling? There are many other things that we need to consider in cross-cultural marriages, apart from just being in love, because they will handle many other challenges apart from what a normal couple will handle.
Exactly. In
Yes.
fact, that's what I wanted. That was my next question. If today you meet somebody from a different tribe or a different
Yes.
race, I think the big thing is when you grow up in a certain tribe or race, there are certain norms.
Yes.
Now you are
true.
getting into a relationship with somebody where the norms are very different.
Yes.
How do you prepare? What are some of the things that you must talk about?
Amazing. We need to, first of all, define what culture is, because we do not live in a vacuum. Culture is a way of life. It is a set way of belief, a way of doing things. It is, it unites a group of people, because then it dictates how they are going to live. So when you come from a different cultural background, then you need to be able to be open-minded, to begin to have these conversations in regards to how you're going to handle some of these things that will come about. And one of the things that I would advise young people to do is to have an open mind, is to have a willingness to adjust and understand. Because what happens usually is that when people get married and they come together from different cultures, there is something we call culture shock. Because as they get to associate with one another, as they get to learn each other's way of life, there's some things that they will discover that the other partner or the spouse does not do as they do. And so you need to prepare yourself for some of those things. And so being very open-minded gives you that ability to learn your spouse and ask yourself, how do these people live? What is their identity? What is their roles? You know, like for example, if you look at the Filipino community, let me just give an example. The woman is regarded as a queen, and so she's not supposed to do heavy menial labor. And so bring that to Kenya and you know, marry a Filipino woman, and she will sit there and tell you, I will not go fetch water, or I will not clean the house, because that is heavy labor. And so if you do not begin to have those conversations and begin to create that interest to learn your spouse and to learn their way of life, and to ask yourself, can I accommodate this person? Can I be able to adjust? Can I live in accordance to the way their way of life is? Then you're going to have a troublesome marriage, because then you stand on your ground with your culture, they stand with their culture, and then what do we have in the middle? Conflict. Because you have people who are completely different, but they have been brought together by the union of marriage. So it is important that young people, as they come together, most importantly, Pauline, I would advise that people go for premarital counseling.
That's true. Which, of course, I think our couple, the funny thing is that I think when you're in love, all these
Yes.
things go out of the window.
Yes.
And I think
True.
you know, you're going back to when you have 2 children or 3 children.
Yes.
But I think, how much can you give in? I noticed that in terms of religion,
Yes.
it seemed like Paps had given in. And I don't know, he says, he studied, but, how much should you give in? Because, Jackie, the truth is, you don't marry a person. You
True.
marry an entire community of people.
Yes.
You have a mother-in-law, a father-in-law.
Very true.
You have an auntie. You
Yes.
have sisters and brothers. How much can you give in?
Yes, true. Man is a social being. And when two people are in love, they think that life is all about them. Unfortunately, when you fall in love or when you decide to marry someone, you involve a lot of people. You involve, I want to say, the government.
Yes.
You involve the police, because should you fight, they'll be involved. You involve your in-laws. You involve, your parents. You involve everyone. And so before you even make that choice that this is the person I want to settle down with, it would be important to consult, to even give that idea to your parents and say, I have been thinking of bringing about this person. What do you think? Because let me tell you, your environment has their own perceptions. I like what they said. I like what Pap said. He said in the interview that when he brought the girl to Luyaland, he was hailed. Oh, you have brought this Indian girl, But what about the response of the family when she brought him home?
It was rejection.
It was rejection, exactly. It was on the other way. Give her time. She will get over this. This is just something, it's an inclination, it's a whim. And really, she's not gotten over it. And they are saying they're married, they have had 2 kids in the process, and so he's not going anywhere. So how do you then deal with the perception of the family? And that is why I'm saying now that when you're out to land the other person, when you're out to tell your family and your community, this is my choice. Because then you're looking at this person, this is my spouse. They are looking at her or him like, this is a Mzungu, this is a Muindi.
It's true, and they've come with their own package and a lot of baggage.
Exactly.
They come with a mother-in-law, a father-in-law.
They come with traditions. They
Let me
come
tell
with
you,
set
Jackie,
ways.
would you, thinking about it,
Yes.
when you think about your children marrying, you don't bargain for an Indian father-in-law.
you don't.
You didn't bargain for an Indian father-in-law.
Remember, we started, Pauline, by saying this world has become like a global village. So it is encouraging parents, those of us with children who are going to, they are at that age of getting married, to be open-minded, to say that, all right, I have raised this child in a godly way. They fear God. They know the right and wrong. And so when they're out there looking for a spouse, it needs to be beyond color and beyond race. Because then you have societies who completely reject the spouse that the child has brought.
So you're also saying that even us as older people,
Yes.
we have to begin to unlearn some of the things that we
Also
think
true.
we know.
Because culture, I want to say that culture is learned.
Yes.
The two of them, he is Luya, she is Indian. When they come together, they're going to begin to make their own culture. And I also want to say that culture is not static. You can't say, we Luya people do this, or we Indians do this. Because they have merged together and they have decided, they have committed to come together in a marriage, they are making a new way of life. And so I do not want to use the word give in. How much will you give in? I want to turn the coin around a little bit and say, how far will you go to learn and to understand them? And I also want to use the word to accommodate this other person. If they want to cook food with spice, well, I can always try the spice. If he wants to eat ugali 24/7, well, let me try it. And so when you come at marriage with that open heart and open attitude, let me tell you, it will save a lot of heartache and heart pain, because both of you are willing.
Okay.
So we say that marriage is not 50-50. It's not, you come here, I come here. Marriage is you give 100, the other person gives 100, without necessarily looking at if the other person is reciprocating. So if you come like that, then you're able to say, okay, in our culture, this is what we do. And let me bring it home a little bit. Let's assume that it is different ethnic groups, because that is happening amongst us. That I think the rate of marriage is now at 50 or 60%. People are intermarrying. And so as they intermarry, they also have to understand how is the way of life, because you can be doing something that is offensive to the other person, or they can do something which in their culture is offensive. For example, I'll give you an example. A friend of mine got married to someone from the Western community, and this was many years ago. I have been married for 20 years now. And so she was a new bride, and someone had passed on, and so they went up country. And when they got there, the news that she received was, you have to shave your hair because this is our culture. Nobody had prepared her for that. And the man was told, you cannot sit with your wife in this gathering because this is our culture. It is not right to sit with your wife. And so they were there, confused. He did not know what to do. She did not know how to respond to these people. But what I love about that situation is that the man rose up to the defense of his wife. And the man said, she is not going to cut her hair. And she's going to sit with me if she wants to sit with me. And because of the stand that they took, I want to say that they have created a new culture. And because of that, their families have accepted them. They have said, well, these two are a bit strange. They don't follow this. They don't do that. But let them be, because this is their family.
Well, then, so therefore, you have to be a bit pioneering,
Yes.
and a bit creative.
Oh, yes.
The minute you say you're marrying somebody from, not from your grouping,
yes,
then you have to be ready to be a pioneer, because really, as you said, you're building a new culture.
True.
Now, the other thing is children. Mm-hmm. Children who are born to people who are not from the same ethnic group or the same race, they seem to have an identity problem. And I know they look really sweet and wonderful, and we all love them. But the truth is, they do have an identity problem because they are neither this nor that. What is your take on that?
Unfortunately, we do not prepare our children, and we do not help them to anticipate some of the things they're going to face in life. And one of the things that the couple can do is to anticipate some of those stressors. Okay, let's say I have married a white person. So we'll have pointees. Maybe in our village, no one has ever seen pointees.
Of course, they'll come to touch their hair.
Yes, they will touch their hair, they will touch their skin. But how have you prepared your child to accept themselves and to know that even though they could seem different from the outside, they are just a normal human being? How do you prepare your child to respond? Unfortunately, many parents do not do that. And so by the time the child goes out there and experiences the discrimination, the stereotyping, the prejudice, they come home already distraught because something happened out there. They were told that they are not like every other person. And so I would say that it would be important for us to prepare our children. And as we prepare our children, prepare ourselves to find out how we're going to raise our children. We need to agree. I want to say that the term there is, let us agree. How are we going to raise our children? What religion are we going to raise them in? Which way of life are we going to follow? What about the issues of language?
Exactly.
Which language are they going to
Because
speak?
now they lose two languages. They are
They lose two
neither
languages?
they are neither this nor that.
They
at all.
can lose or they can gain. They can gain. Because parenting needs to be deliberate. And let me tell you, it is very possible. I want to give an example of another friend of mine. I remember they went to be missionaries in Togo. And when they went to be missionaries, they had just gotten a 2-year-old. They went with a 2-year-old child. Can I tell you that the lady is Luya, the girl speaks Luya, the man is from Burundi, the girl speaks the language, the girl also speaks whatever it is that they speak in Togo, and now because they're in a different country, the girl is speaking French.
Wow.
So in the 4 years they have been in Togo, the young child has learned 4 languages. But unfortunately, we get to the place where we judge the culture and we say, I don't think my children will speak that language. I don't think my children will acquire the language of, those people. So let me teach them my language. And unfortunately, that is not the right way to raise them, because you chose your spouse. So you cannot come and judge them and say, this is how I'm going to raise my children. Okay. So because you have chosen this person, then sit down and agree. Remember the word agree.
Agree.
Sit down
agree
and
is the
agree
core word
and
here.
say yes. And say, this is how we're going to raise our children. They will visit their shosho wherever. They will go on the other side for 2 weeks. They will learn this language. This is the food that they will eat. So that the children grow up confident of who they are. That way you are creating an identity in the child. Yes, they may not look like this, they may not look like the other, but they are happy about themselves and what they do. So you have created a new culture. Remember we said culture is learned and
It's
it is
learned
not
and
static.
it's not static.
Yes.
I think my final question is, marriage is hard. Marriage is hard, Jackie. How do you make sure that when you marry somebody who's different from yourself, that it will work? Because you don't want it to fail. You've already, for many people, you're probably losing your relatives. You are making very many people angry.
True.
How do you make sure that this thing works? Because if it doesn't work, it's a disaster. How do you?
That's a very good question, Pauline. Let me respond by saying that marriage takes work. It takes hard work. Unfortunately, when we get married, we cease putting in the effort. When we are dating, we put in a lot of effort. You call the person, you go out for a date, you text, you send flowers, you go out to learn them. But when we get married, something happens. The mask is removed. And then we just become...
Tunawashiria.
Fogodari, yes. I'm
We
sorry
become
for using that
fogodari.
word.
No.
We just become fogodari. And we forget that marriage will not build itself. So as you marry from cross culture, cross ethnic, remember that you have to put in effort to work on your relationship.
You're probably going to have to put in more work than
Yes.
a normal couple.
Because first of all, you have to demonstrate the commitment you have made to this individual. If you marry someone, like the example I was giving about the lady from the Philippines, if you suddenly discover that she cannot do work, well, you do not put her on a flight and take her back home. You learn how to cope, and you learn how to protect and how to shield her. And so I want to say that couples need to learn what are their roles. What is your responsibility in this relationship? I have been married for 20 years, and I thank God for that. I'm not saying that it has been all easy and it has been a bed of roses. I'm saying that we both came to a conscious decision that we must put effort into our relationship. Marriage is like a garden. Do you ever plant weeds? No, you do not. But when you plant your maize and you plant your beans, sooner than later you find weeds are growing. So you have to make that conscious decision to remove the weeds. So marriage is like that. You have to know that you have given a commitment to the other person. It is not time bound, because we make vows when we are standing in front of the priest and before God, and we vow, we say, till death
Do us
part. So you cannot get into marriage with an exit clause. You cannot think, if it doesn't work with this one, I can always jump out and get another one. Guess what? You'll be the same person with the same problems. So why don't you make this one that God has given you work? And I want to say that just change your perception. Look at it like a job. If you don't go to work, you'll be fired. And it's the same for marriage. If you don't work at it, it will grow weeds. And no one is going to come and cultivate your marriage for you. So I want to say that marriage, I don't want to say it is hard. I want to say it is challenging. That there are things that you'll find in the different seasons of life that will maybe want you to think twice and say, really, is this the person? But because you made a vow and a commitment to God, I also want to say that God will help you to understand this spouse, and you'll be able to adjust to the way they are, and you'll be able to accommodate them, as you begin to accept them. So marriage is a journey, and it is an interesting journey.
I think it's even more exciting when you're married to somebody from another tribe or another race. Yes. Anyway, we're out of time. Thank you,
Right.
Jackie.
Thank you for
so
having
much.
me.
You have been very enlightening.
Thank you.
And for those of you who are dating somebody from another ethnic group or another race, you've had it for yourself. You will have to put in that much more work to make it work. Until next Sunday, 4 p.m., we wish you well. Have a great week. Baraka.